The most valuable skill any young person can have right now, and the scarcest and the most difficult for them, is focus. Focus is
Focus.
so scarce because every day you wake up, there are like 3 million advertising messages. Influencers are trying to give you their hot takes. Gaza and Israel are fighting. Trump has bombed Sokoto State. So it's relentless. There's never really any time for you to say, in fact, what am I doing with myself and where do I want to go from here? Because sometimes you go to your email to do something, but some of your faves have dropped like 16 different newsletters in your inbox. And then, even though you went to look for Tope's email, you saw something that caught your attention. By the time you look up, 45 minutes is gone. And I say, oh God. And you just go on Facebook to quickly send a message to someone, and then you find that 30 minutes later you were scrolling through. So your life is just going.
Just scattered.
Naomi Lucas is a distinguished ecosystem builder and strategic leader who has spent nearly 2 decades bridging the gap between youth, technology, and the future of work in emerging markets. As the founder and CEO of Starlin, she leads a startup studio dedicated to building and funding the vital technology and infrastructure necessary to unlock economic pathways for millions of Africans. Her career is defined by a deep commitment to African innovation, venture leadership. Prior to Starlin, Naomi spent over 8 years as CEO of ECLA, where she collaborated with governments and private sector players to redesign processes and catalyze the viability of Africa's creative sector. Corporate strategy, she has held high-impact roles including Senior Vice President of Marketing and Growth at Softcom Limited and Head of Business Development for the Africa Movie Academy Awards, managing global partnerships across 5 countries. Operational excellence. Her foundational years were spent managing perception management and complex logistics for global giants like Coca-Cola and Procter & Gamble, where she supervised programs reaching over 1 million young people annually. Naomi is a recognized voice in leadership, serving as a 3-time judge for Jack Ma Foundation's Africa's Business Heroes Chair, Technical Advisory Council, the Bridge Leadership Foundation, Board Chair, Safe Spaces Initiative, and mentor the Queen's Commonwealth Trust, amongst others. She wrote, "I'm a graduate now, what?" and served as creative director of the audiovisual production featuring 56 notable Nigerians. With close to 1 million copies sold, the content has become the definitive guide for those who want to win in today's marketplace. Her contributions have earned her numerous accolades, including Leader of the Year, Future of Work by C-Suite Insider, UK, Entrepreneur of the Year, EdTech category by Excellence Awards, USA nominee, Transformational Leadership Award for 2025 at TIBA Awards, Nigeria, and Loom Magazine's Top 10 in Education Award 2025. An alumna of Universities of Oxford and Cambridge Executive Programs, and a graduate of the University of Jos. Naomi's edge remains her deep understanding of the frustrations, aspirations, and unwritten principles that drive the African landscape. Driven by the belief that people are Africa's most abundant resource, Naomi continues to build a future where Africans can lead productive, empowered, and dignified lives.
Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome back to the FIP podcast. And today we are going to be exploring a major challenge that every young professional faces, and which is the challenge of identity. I'm sure it's something you can relate with if you are one. Even most people in their mid career still struggle with that. And in our last live session, as you know, this podcast primarily is for the audience of our internship program, the Feasible Internship Program, and we looked at the subject of personal discovery, and that pretty much provided the foundation for this particular subject. So today, I'm really excited about what we're going to be talking about. It's about creative identity mapping, and I couldn't think of a better person to guide us than someone who has who has quite literally mapped our way across multiple industries. You can listen to the to the bio that was played just before now. That she has that vast experience, and you could see the connection between all of this. She's been on the front lines of Coca-Cola and P&G. She's redefined the creative economy as the CEO of Eclat, and today she's the founder and CEO of Starling and the program director of the Employment Bootcamp. Please welcome Naomi Lucas. You're welcome, ma'am. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Tokwe, for having me. I'm
Thank
looking
you
forward to
very
this.
much. Yeah. All right. So we're going to start the conversation this week because this is something I've particularly looked forward to. I know I remember seeing one of your videos in the employment book and where you were quoting Socrates, man, know thyself. So this is just like what this is about. And I know
Or was
we're
that
talking
deep?
recently.
Socrates.
You remember that video? I still play it to some of my team members. The video
Oh
that
my God.
premieres that, yeah. So this is just what it's about, and I really want you to tell us in your own language or in plain terms, how do you define identity, and why is it so important for anyone, especially at the early stage of their career? Yeah.
Or at any point in time at all.
At all, yeah.
This is a very, we do the employment bootcamp, and the very first module of the employment bootcamp is on identity. It's called Understand Who You Are. That's essentially what. So you might wonder, like, okay, why would you even have something like that in a program that is supposed to help people get jobs, right? So just focus on skills and focus on how to get them out there. But we realize that essentially, I've been to the future, and I'm coaching a lot of people at the top of their career, and I'm seeing a lot of identity issues, right? Where you have somebody who is probably like the vice president of finance saying that I just want to sing. Or maybe you have somebody who is a startup founder, but I just want to work with children. And you realize that the reason why there's a search for meaning and just a discontent, even though they are like your faves and they're like, for you, they're like a destination. When you think of your life, you're thinking, I want to be like this person. But the person that you want to be like is so dissatisfied and so discontent with their lives because there's an identity issue. There's who people see them as, and there's how they see themselves, and there's a disconnect between the two. And having looked at that and tried to resolve that for a number of these executives for a few years, I thought, why not go into the present and try and prevent the catastrophe that is waiting for young people in the future by letting them focus or helping them focus on this fundamental thing that has to do with who they are and how they see themselves. So if I were to explain identity to a 5-year-old, I would say the reason why a fish is not a fly is because of its identity. A fish is a fish, a fly is a fly. The two are different because of the identity. Yes, your identity is the sum of who you are. Is the essence of who or what someone or something is. Every single person on the surface of the earth at this moment, I can't say about the future, but at this moment has a unique set of characteristics, of beliefs, of expressions, of quirks, of traits, of values, of idiosyncrasies that make them different from every other person, even if they look alike. Even if they have the exact same upbringing, they grow up in the exact same environment, there's just a combination of these things that make each person unique. That combination is your identity, right? Whether you are conscious of it, you're not conscious of it, that's essentially what the term identity means. In lay terms, that's what it means. So your inherent traits, your genetic makeup, your ethnicity, your gender, your chosen or your nurture traits, let me put it like that. You may not know how to sing, but you decide you like singing, so you learn it. So your nurture traits, your values, your beliefs, your morals, your passions, your goals, I will call them your nurture traits. Your social roles, maybe being a parent, being the firstborn in your family, feeling for young people and being an activist, being a friend, your experiences, your memories, your triumphs, your trauma, your narrative, all of those things, when you whip them together, what comes out on the other side is your identity.
So thank you very much. Like you really dealt with that definition. Maybe more than 20 synonyms or adjectives used in characterizing that word identity. You mentioned idiosyncrasies,
I want them
characteristics.
to understand.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say maybe a take home is that one then needs to go and understand what each of those terms, because sometimes you think you know what a word means until you really have paid enough attention to finding them out. So let's take it a bit further
Yeah.
to take the actual theme of this podcast, which is creative identity mapping, right? So what does that, because to my mind, what you said already gives me an idea. So how do I start? I think that's what creative identity mapping now means, like the whole intentionality of doing that. So can you further explain to us what that means?
So I'm going to first explain what I think you mean by creative identity mapping.
Yeah.
Just so that we determine that we're on the same page. So if
Yeah.
I hear you, what you're saying is that the same way you have your human or your personal identity, and you're thinking about your inherent traits, your nurture traits, like I mentioned, your roles, your experiences, and all of that.
Yeah.
Um, you want to also kind of like think about your identity in a creative sense. And what I mean by that is
Yeah.
there's a part of you that expresses creatively. Maybe you sing, maybe you dance, maybe you write poetry. So there's also an identity there in terms of I'm not a drummer. I don't make adire. I I write poetry. So how do you now define what that identity is? That's what I
Yes.
hear you saying.
Yes. So that when I see that, or when I identify all these characteristics about myself, how then do they come together? How do I map them together? Yeah, creatively. Yeah.
Okay, so as a creative, it means that you do something or you have a talent within anything that is termed the creative sector: broadcasting, publishing, music, film, performing arts, art and craft, in fact, education, gaming, software development. All of those things are, when you think about the creative industry, they all fall within it. So there's something that you're expressing as a person that falls within that. You dance, you sing, you write poetry, you code, you develop games, you are an OAP or an MC or video editor. Those are all creative traits, right? So in trying to map your identity, I would strongly advise that I see creative identity mapping as a subset or a complement of your personal identity. So in the same vein, your creative identity is the sum of your creative self. Your creative traits, your nurture traits that are creative, your creative roles, and then your experiences as a creative. So in mapping that, it's to say, as a creative, what are my traits? What are my talents? And you would realize why this is important when we go further into the podcast. First of all, for you to exploit anything or to leverage anything or to manage an opportunity or to expand an opportunity, there needs to be an awareness that that opportunity is there. And then there needs to be an appreciation of the value of that opportunity. Then there needs to be a definition of that opportunity vis-a-vis what is also available out there. In branding, we call it positioning. It's fine that you know how to sing, but if you are in a place where you take two steps and you find a singer, the question you're going to begin to ask yourself is, so how do I stand out? There are so many people singing here. So there's an inherent mapping of what it is you exactly you know how to do as a creative. And then there's also thinking about it outwardly in terms of what is the value of this specific talent that I have, and then also looking at the space to say what is the market appreciation of this specific talent that I have, because that's what's going to determine if it's a hobby, if you can build a career out of it, if you can pay your bills, if there's any longevity or sustainability to what you're thinking, right? So that's how I'd advise you to map it. Who am I as a creative?
Yeah.
What do I know how to do as a creative? And these are very simple questions. I know how to dance. I really know how to dance. I'm a fantastic graphic designer. I'm such an amazing cook. My voice can put you to sleep. So identify the thing that is the essence of who you are as a creative. That's the first thing for you to do. And then the second thing is to think about it in terms of its value. And value from your perspective. Do I think that this particular skill is valuable? Do I think that it is useful for me to be able to leverage as a tool to go out there and be a blessing to the world and make a name for myself and become a platform, become a celebrity, for me to hammer, for me to retire? Whatever your aspirations are, they are valid, but define that. And then the third thing is to say, based on what I've seen around me, within my local environment, and indeed globally, what is the value or the premium that has been placed on this specific skill that I have as a person? That is how I would advise that you go about mapping what your creative identity is. Don't think too deep about it at this point. There'll be other opportunities for you to really break down the hows and the whys. But for now, the what and the why is very important.
Great. The what and the why. Very good. So knowing what these really things really mean, the value, then finding the value that you can attach to them. Very good. This is just a quick yes or no question. Maybe some other episode you can trash it out. Do you think everybody is a creative?
No.
Okay.
If you people come to mind, the answer is absolutely not. I just said for some people, that's accounting that you study. Just focus on it. I don't think
Well,
everybody's a creative man.
oh, great, great. But I think our intention with this session is that even though you may not fall into that category, you can identify your characteristics or your peculiarities and all of that. That doesn't necessarily make you a creative, but at least that process of identifying those things that are peculiar to you, those your strengths, idiosyncrasies, values, and everything that's been mentioned is the process of creative identity mapping. So this next question, because in your profile you described your career as a continuous thread woven between youth, technology, and the future of work. But looking at your resume from theater arts at Unijust to the Oxford FinTech program you took, it looks like several different lives that you've lived. And I don't know how many of it already, but this question is
Maybe like
for
16.
multi-potentialites listening and people that feel like I can also do many things or they like to do all of this, travel and all of that. Who feel like they have too many interests. How do you find that one thread that connects all your different skills into one professional identity?
This is such a beautiful question, and I think it's such an important question for young people to ponder on and really be at peace at, in terms of be at peace with, in terms of what they're trying to do with their lives. And I'm saying this because the most valuable skill any young person can have right now, and the scarcest and the most difficult for them, is focus. Focus is so scarce because every day you wake up, there are like 3 million advertising messages. Influencers are trying to give you their hot takes. Gaza and Israel are fighting. Trump has bombed Sokoto State. So it's relentless. There's never really any time for you to say, in fact, what am I doing with myself and where do I want to go from here? Because sometimes you go to your email to do something, but some of your faves have dropped like 16 different newsletters in your inbox. And then even though you went to look for Tokwe's email, you saw something that caught your attention. By the time you look up, 45 minutes is gone. And I say, oh God. Then you just go on Facebook to quickly send a message to someone, and then you find that 30 minutes later you were scrolling through. So your life is just going. And there's just focus is just such a difficult thing. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I feel like we owe the younger generation an apology because life was not like this. At least for me, you get your cyber cafe sleep, you wait for your turn, you do what you want to do in the cyber cafe, and then you go home. You don't have a phone. You don't. There's no light, so you are immersed in the real world, and it helps you be focused. I mean, I spent most of my spare time, most of my time, I actually spent it in the library. Either the library of religious, the library, wherever I am, you find
I
me.
don't think people know what
I
library
don't
looks
know.
like.
In fact, I was trying to dash my niece a notebook. It was such a beautiful notebook. And she said, "No, Auntie, don't worry, I don't need it. I have my phone." And I'm thinking, Madam, I bought this thing, cost me a lot of money. Like, because I thought the notebook looked really good. And she thought, no, there's no need. There's my notebook app, something like
Wow.
that. So just as an aside, that focus is a thing. So there's that thing about focus, right? So I feel sorry that there's 25 social media platforms for you to choose from. 247 you are plugged in. The only thing that keeps you away from this vastness of the internet is data. As long as you have data, you can be there
Yeah.
247. And I think that that's a lot of weight that these young people carry.
Yeah.
So in terms of so I know how to do all of these things. I want to express myself and stuff. Frankly, I think it's fine that you have all of these talents. You can cook, you can swim, you can this, you can that. It's fine. Let me start with myself.
Yeah.
I am not the norm. I am the exception. Okay? And I say that with a lot of humility. A bit of background. I studied theater and communication arts. I wanted to study law. That was my first and last love. But the Nigerian university system doing its thing, I ended up in theater arts that I did not like, but felt, you know what, I'm already here, let me just go through it. So frankly, when I came out of university, I can't say that there was a lot of love between me and the course that I studied. So what I'm doing right now with young people with Graduate Pro, the Employment Bootcamp, Handshake, and all of those things I'm doing is just trying to make sure that they don't live the kind of life that I lived. And the kind of life that I lived was one where there was a lot of experimentation, there was a lot of tinkering, there was a lot of trying to find out if this works and if that doesn't work. The only thing I was ever very sure about and I made sure never happened was that I didn't think I could work in a bank. I did not like the idea of working in a bank. First of all, because I felt I wasn't a morning person. 2, I felt it was too regimented for me. 3, I did not like formal clothing. So there were just too many reasons why whatever you do, don't end up in a bank. But yeah, don't end up in a bank, end up where? I couldn't answer that question. Right? So there was a lot of, okay, so I need a job, and then I see this thing and I think, well, I can do this, then, well, I can do that. So it wasn't like intentional, like, so I'm going to work here, then I would spend this number of years, and then I'll get this skill. That kind of mentorship was not available to me. It was just not available to me. Even just from my background, it wasn't available to me. So there was a lot of tinkering. So if you see me working in a PR firm, and then the next thing I was working in a youth firm, and then working here and working there, it's like, wow, you've lived a very rich life. It wasn't intentional. It was just me leveraging the opportunities that were presented to me and just making sure that I was making progress wherever I was. The beautiful thing that happened with that is twofold. The first is, even I am envious of my skill stack, and I say it with a lot of humility.
Really?
The range of skills that I have as a human being, there are very few people that have it. Because I've worked in all these different places. Today you are doing accounting, tomorrow you are singing, next tomorrow you're a producer, and then you're doing this and you're doing. You have so many skills.
Yeah.
You understand? So the range of skills is so vast that I'm the equivalent of a one-man army. Sorry, do you need somebody to play defense? I have
You
the skill.
can.
Play offense, yes. Midfield, you want referee? I can do it. Goalkeeper,
Really?
call me.
I didn't know that. What forgot to
So you know. No, so they just love these skills because of that. So I'm able to do things faster with very limited resources, because where somebody else may think, hey, I need someone to help me write for my website and stuff, I just start writing. When someone thinks, hey, who will help me do my advert? I've posted, I've published the advert. So I've done it. Like,
Wow.
I have the skills, right? That's one thing. The second thing I would say that that did for me was it helped me to eliminate the things that I don't want and the things that I don't like. So because I opened myself up to these experiences of doing this and doing that and then leaving this company and joining this company, I could see from the different roles that I was being assigned or the different roles I was taking up what I liked and what I didn't like. So I consider my very squiggly career a distillation of my identity today. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
It helps
yeah.
me to distill
Eliminates.
and to fine tune and to purify such that the version of me that exists today is a culmination of everything I know that I'm good at and what I want my life's work to be. And the only way that I could do that was by trying so many things that I knew I didn't want to do. Right? But coming back to multi-potentialites, I have a very dear friend of mine, Dr. Shola. His advice to young people when they ask him this kind of things is, he would say, you cannot go through 3 doors at the same time. It's such a wise thing to say. And for a lot of young people today, that's what they are trying to do. They are trying to go through 3 doors at the same time. This is a very deep thing that I've said to you. So you have to deconstruct what I just said and apply it to your specific situation. What are the doors that you're trying to go through at the same time? Just remember that you can only go through one. And then you can come out of that one and say, I don't like the color of this room. And then you go into the next one and say, the room is too wide. And then you go through, but that you are going to go through 3 doors at the same time is a literal impossibility. What does that mean when we deconstruct all of that really? It means that the process of trying to be all of these multi-potentialite things that you're thinking about is a fragmented focus. You are an influencer, so you're online trying to make sure that your TikTok page is growing, and then you have a full-time job as the coordinator of the Feasible Internship Program. Then you also do video editing on the side so that you can augment your income stream. Then you're also consulting for 3 startups, helping them to set up You will find that you're not particularly effective at any of them. They will all be mediocre because you have fragmented your attention across those 3 things. Even though my range of skills are so vast, and I worked here and I worked there, I did not work everywhere at the same time. I first focused on the Coca-Cola job and made sure that it was done properly. Then I moved on to something, and then I moved on, and that's how I was building those skills. So my advice is there needs to be a primary thing that you are focused on, while opening yourself up to other opportunities all around you. Maybe there's 3 hours in a week that you dedicate to something else, and then maybe 2 hours here to something else. But there's that one thing that you have identified that you really want to pour your heart and your time into at any specific point in time. That is how you build track record. That is how you build. That's how you deepen your skill. That's how you make sure that it becomes muscle memory, and that's where your competitive advantage will be. That would be my advice.
Wow. Thank you so much. I mean, you touched on many areas, and I try to note down a few things. This next question is about identifying your personal style, right? For example, when you talked about, because one of the things you said is focus, and and then picking one thing by entering one door per time and all of that. Before I go to that question about personal style, will you be able to tell the audience what the how will I say it now? Like the characteristics that has seen you through, apart from the primary characteristic of focus, that's maybe 2-3 characteristics that can see a young somebody that is starting out like you, through that whole journey of helping him, in using your word, distillate or purify, his or her identity. Yes, that could just help them. Yes.
Okay, so essentially the outcome of this question you're asking me is what can help them accelerate this discovery process.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. I would say that the first thing is your work ethic. And let me try and describe, or I use the word deconstruct a lot. Let me deconstruct what I mean by your work ethic. How you go about executing the job that you have been given. And I'm going to just try and advise you at this point that you need to care about the work that you have been given to do. I mean that you need to care about it completely, totally. You need to care. I did not say care about your boss. I did not say care about the company. Even if you don't give two rats' ass about the company you're working for, you need to care about your job. Caring about your job is the most selfish thing that you can do. Because the ultimate beneficiary of that care is you. It doesn't matter if everything around you is going to shit, forgive my French. It doesn't matter if everything around you is not working the way you like, the politics is there, the boss is sleeping with this person, and they are stealing money left, right, and center, and the place is toxic, blah, 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 blah. If you care about your job, the biggest beneficiary of that thing is you. You know why? Nobody can ever take away what you have learned from you.
Sure.
Nobody, if you learn how to drive, nobody can unlearn it for you. Nobody can collect the driving skill and say, you are leaving our organization, give us our skill back. The version of you that leaves that organization is richer, more nuanced, with a deepened skill set, and more marketable. Care about the work that you are given. What does care look like? Do it diligently or don't touch it. There are too many young people in the world today who don't care about the work that they've been given. So the person who has hired you to make sure that this internship program works. He has not really slept since you came. Because the things that he has asked you to do, he's also still doing it himself. Because it's either you're not doing it to the standard that is required, or it's just so shoddily done that he takes it and he does it again. So think about it this way, that what every employer wants is peace of mind, okay? And in simple terms, peace of mind is defined in two ways. If you are not contributing to the solution of the problems within the organization, you are one of the problems that needs a solution. There is no in between. Yes, you need to be solved as a problem. So if you are not helping the organization think about better ways, more efficient ways to do things, it means you yourself, you have become a problem. And that means that your tenure within that specific organization, sooner or later, somebody is going to kick you out. Because you are now a problem in addition to the 16 problems that they need to solve, and nobody wants a problem. So think of it like you are there to give peace of mind. Tokwe is the coordinator of the internship program. I can go to sleep. It's Tokwe now. Tokwe doesn't need, nobody follows up with Tokwe. He knows what to do. That's your job. And how you do that is by caring. You care that the internship is supposed to start on the 10th. But it's already 5th and you've not heard anything from your boss. And you know that you need at least 2 weeks to prepare some things for this program to start. You pick up the phone, you call, boss me. It's 5 days to internship. That's what people that care do. That's what it looks like. You don't sit there and say, he did it. I'm waiting. Because there are all of these things that he's also trying to get done, and it may just be that and then you call it, oh my God, thank you so much. And then that's what people that care, that's how they behave. You need to care because it gives you the opportunity to learn, it gives you the opportunity to stack skills, it makes you memorable, it makes you competitive. The owners of the business want you on their side and they are afraid you're going to leave, so you're either getting a promotion or you're getting a new brief, or they put you on a new project, or they're sending you abroad somewhere because they can see the value that you're bringing to the table. The second thing I'm going to say is that you need to be curious. It's not just about the work that you've been given to do. How does the organization work? How do they make money? What are the struggles? that have really impacted the ability of this organization to grow? What is the position of this organization within the industry and the sector? What do you know about the sector in which it does business? Who are the clients that can serve that organization that are not currently serving the organization because they are not on your radar? How can you go out there and make some noise about this organization and drive in more business into the building? Is there a better way? Are there AI tools that you can use to automate some of these processes that are stressing your boss or stressing your colleague? Is there a simpler way? Do you have any recommendations or ideas that you think if we add this to this, the food will be sweeter? Have you told anybody about those ideas? That's what curiosity does. You can't sit still. I had a boss. The moment that I knew I was leaving that organization was when he called me one time and he told me that I just need you to do your job. We're not here to build superstars. And then he walked away. And he told me that because I had more curiosity than was allowed for an organization of his size.
Wow.
I was inside everything. I wanted to know everything. Ah, God.
Wow.
I was everywhere. I did not know. I did not have boundaries at all. That's a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can only learn because you've made mistakes and your hands have been burnt. But I was so enthusiastic. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's do this event. Let's do that. And he just said, just do your job. Nobody asked you to come here and come and be giving ideas. And I thought, my job is not enough. 3 hours in a day, I'm done with the job. I need more work. Like, you need to give me things to do. So that's when I knew that I had to leave that place because it was too small for somebody like me. I was a very curious person. And I felt like if they had leveraged the curiosity, there was a lot more that could have come to the business. So the second thing I would say is be curious. And the third I would say is be intentional. Be intentional, map the place that you are in. Who are the power brokers? Who are the pawns? There is no space that does not have politics. And sometimes you think that the CEO is the most powerful person, but it's a lie. It's the gate man, the man that can carry your CV and put it in the dustbin. And the CEO will never see it. That's the most powerful person in that organization.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to map. Who has the power? What is the currency that we're using to trade in this place? Who is buying what? Who is selling what? What do I have to sell? What do I want to buy? How do I broker the conversation between merchants and the person that wants to sell so that I can make progress within this space? Is this the kind of place where I can grow? Do I have the room to be able to express and to do blah, blah, blah? Do I need some skills to be able to rise within the organization? Do I need to become a type of person? Maybe I'm not punctual, become more punctual. I'm not jovial, become more jovial. You need to think about all of these things by being intentional, because what is at stake is your career. Sometimes it can become redundant. Sometimes you can play the politics wrong and then you are kicked out. Sometimes you can miscalculate and misjudge and then you realize that other people are getting ahead and you're just not making any progress. So you need to be intentional about what you want to do with yourself and have some type of timeline for which you want to do the things that you've mapped out that you want to do. So without thinking too much about it, those would be my 3 things. First, you need to care. 2, you need to be curious. 3, you need to be intentional.
Wow. That goes a long way, I think, in helping anybody that cares to really take that journey in really mapping out and at least getting there faster and making that progress that you have made in a much quicker manner. There are actually a few other questions. Maybe what we do, if you have questions and you listen to this podcast, you can drop it on the chat box, and I'm sure maybe some other time we have opportunity of asking Lucas to come and answer some of them. But maybe 2 more questions before we go on this episode. I know you are a director of the Employment Bootcamp, and you've seen hundreds of talented people trying to get noticed, and I've heard your story, and I think it's a wonderful work you're doing there. Your profile also mentions you were awarded Leader of the Year in the Future of Work. You just seen a whole lot around this whole thing between employment and all of that. What is the biggest gap you see between how a young graduate currently sees themselves and how an employer sees themselves. There's this phenomenon that we call unemployability that I've been a bit concerned about. So that's pretty much what I'm asking. How do you think we can close that gap without losing our soul? Because it looks like that gap just keeps increasing. The way a graduate see themselves and now employers. What does the world of work really looks like for somebody that is trying to come out of school now?
Okay, I think that that's such a fantastic question for you to ask because it gives me the opportunity to speak like somebody's grandmother today. And I tell my boot campers that I know I'm beginning to sound like your grandmother, but don't worry, in another 2 weeks, I will leave you
You come
alone and
and
you can go and live your lives.
yeah.
Let me tell you the truth. And what I'm about to say may sound a bit harsh, but I need you to take it to heart. And I say it everywhere I go. I think there was a call I was on last week for a finance academy, and I had the same conversation with the people on the call. And it's this: the market doesn't care about your feelings. That is something that, as a business owner, you need to realize.
Yeah.
As a young person working and looking to get into the world of work, you need to realize. As a senior executive, you need to realize. As everybody trying to have some type of economic participation in the world that we live in today, you need to realize that the market doesn't care about your feelings. The market doesn't care that your mother sold palm oil for you to go to school and it has been hard for your family and you are the first of 13 children. It's supposed to care, but it doesn't. The market doesn't care that you spent 3 years building this idea to own a block making company and you had to borrow money from a microfinance bank and they've collected your father's bicycle. And the market doesn't care. What the market cares about is what it wants, how it wants it, when it wants it. And if you don't give it to it, if you don't give those things to the market exactly how it wants it, you're not going to make any progress. You will be on the same spot, going around the same mountain, no progress, just lots and lots of frustration. So applying that to the situation of the employer or applying that to an employer, when an employer decides that he wants to hire somebody, it is because he has a specific issue that he needs somebody to help him manage or solve, and he has gotten to this point in trying to manage it himself. He knows he doesn't have the time, he doesn't have the focus. How many things am I going to do? I need support. Somebody needs to help me handle customer service because this procurement, going to the market every day, I'm always tired and customers are complaining that I'm taking too much time to respond to them. So, customer service associate, salary, 250. Apply here. He's looking for you because he's looking for a solution to his problem. That's all that matters to the employer. So at every point in time, you need to ask yourself, am I the solution to the problem that this particular set of people are looking for? And you know the answer. But if you don't, you need to step away from yourself and look at yourself from the position of the person who is trying to hire. This is where a lot of mistakes are made. Where a lot of young people come out of school entitled. I've had conversations where I'm like, oh, you want to earn 1.5 billion naira a month? That's good. Why? You say, because I have a first class. You think the market really cares about your first class? Haven't you seen the number of PhD people that applied for Dangote's driving program to become drivers of Dangote trucks?
Right.
Haven't you seen the number of certificates that people are using to wrap akara in Lagos Island? And then you say you have a first class, the market doesn't really care. What it cares about is what do you know how to do?
Yeah.
I know how to write scripts, I can edit videos, I manage social media very well. I've managed my sister's hair salon on social media. I know how to take pictures, I can work on Excel. That's what the market cares about. So the first thing you need to know as somebody who is coming into the market is, it can't be that I went to Harvard and I've come out. Because right now, where we are with AI, We can just use AI to do what we're asking you to do because AI is cheaper. And AI doesn't complain. And AI doesn't have an attitude. And AI doesn't go on leave. And it doesn't get sick. And its AI is not entitled.
Yeah.
And AI cannot get up and leave as long as I pay my $20 per month. So why should it be you? Why it should be you is because I can do A, B, C, D. If you can't articulate those things, spend some time after this podcast to actually articulate it because that's what the market is asking. The second thing is there's actually a clash between how the market wants things to be done and how these young people who are coming into the workforce like to do things. Because you're working remotely does not mean that the day you don't go to the office is your off day. And there's supposed to be a 10 o'clock team meeting and everybody is calling you, but you're not picking because you are still sleeping. Or actually, you are in the market. The day you're not working in the office is not off day. If a meeting is supposed to be 10 o'clock online, they didn't say around 10. So 10:15 for a virtual meeting, you are waltzing into the online call to say, oh, sorry, I'm late. How are you late for an online meeting? That is 10 o'clock. You're not trekking to the venue. There's no traffic to Zoom. But you are late. These are the issues.
Yeah.
So the person who is employing you because he wants you to solve problems, but you have now become a problem that needs solving. And this is where I see where they just say, you know what, I can't do this, just leave. So you need to determine how the person you're working with, which is the equivalent of the market, how he wants the problem solved. He wants you to show up at 10 on the dot. He needs you to be by your laptop working on the things that you're working on, even on the days that you're not showing up at the office because remote does not mean off. It needs you to be courteous to your teammates, to be responsive on Slack, to do this, to do that. It needs you to be able to manage expectations, to say that, I'm sorry I said I was going to deliver so and so by 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock is no longer feasible. Please give me till 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. It needs you to be able to manage that. It needs you to be able to say, I'm sorry. It needs you to be able to explain things that you've not done properly. It needs you to be able to take feedback. Like, this is messed up. You shouldn't have done this. And you say, I'm really sorry. I should have known better. It needs you to be able to be all of those things. But you carry your idiosyncrasies, you carry your quirks, you carry your entitlement, you show up, and you decide that you are Lord of the Manor, and yeah, you are also an influencer, so they should just treat you a particular, otherwise you are going to leave. But there are 23 million of you right now in the country without jobs. You are not at an advantage because of where you are. So, to answer your question, the market doesn't care about your feelings. He wants what he wants, when he wants it, how he wants it. You need to decipher when and how he wants it and to play that role so that you can make progress.
Wow. Yeah, my last question, and then you give us a final word from you. So the Feasible Internship Program has an overall mission of raising the next generation of entrepreneurs and enterprises. I've discussed that with you, and I just wanted to touch on that a bit before you go. That for anyone that has a hunch or they just have a sense of okay, just working as an employee is not enough. Maybe some of the things you've mentioned, they wouldn't struggle too much with it, and they are already imagining themselves starting out something. What would be your advice for them at this stage?
My advice will go against what you set up Feasible to do. So I don't know if you want me to say.
Tell them, say it.
This is a recorded call. You can always slice it and throw it in the dustbin. My advice is go and work somewhere, even if it's just for 1 year. Go
Yeah,
and subject yourself to the rigors and the discipline of a structured organization.
yeah,
And even if the place is toxic and it's madness, at least you have learned how not to run a business.
yeah, yeah.
If you don't learn how to run a business, you will learn how not to run a business. So that's my first advice. I don't know that you have the depth that is required for you to get up today and say, so I want to set up this business, and then you just get on the road. Entrepreneurship is not fancy. It's one of the loneliest things that you can do. It's one of the most brutal things that you can do. It requires fortitude. It requires a very strong mental constitution for you to become and to remain an entrepreneur. So if you're working in a space and then your line supervisor speaks to you a particular way and you drop your resignation, where are you going to go when you are the entrepreneur and things are not going how you like? You can't resign. It's 247. So get a sense of what the real world looks like and just get some experience. Go out there and learn and see things and absorb things and immerse in things. And then you can come and decide and say, this is what I want to do. And what that will do is it will save you a lot of tinkering. It will save you a lot of starting over, of mistake making, of unnecessary experimentation, of the bloated ego that comes with thinking, so I'm just going to do this and then the market is going to fall over themselves and then they will download my app and I'll have 3 million users and then you go to the market and you realize the market doesn't care. That would be my advice. But considering the goals of the program, I would say you need to determine why. So this is the answer that you can give to everybody if you don't want the other one. You need to determine why you want to be an entrepreneur. What is it about entrepreneurship that you find attractive? I am turned on by problem solving. Just looking at things and saying, but we can solve this problem. Is it not, okay, the gutter is flooding into people's homes? Let's think about it. Bring that drawing board, I love problem solving. So why do you want to be an entrepreneur? You want to, what? You want to be going for conferences and to have your face in the newspaper. Okay, that's it. You want to make a lot of money. You will lose money first. A lot of money. You will lose a lot of it before you will make it. You want to, so that nobody will be your boss and be talking to you anyhow, your time is your own. Actually, all the time is for the business now. Both 9 to 5 and 5 to 9, everything is for the business. So determine why you want to go into entrepreneurship, determine why you want to be an entrepreneur. And then I think there's something very fundamental I'm going to say to everyone on the call as well is, there is a way that entrepreneurs are. There is a constitution that they have. There's a way they are designed, right? There is a way that they live. And you need to adjust your lifestyle and your worldview and your paradigm to the requirements and the rigors of entrepreneurship. Let me talk to you a little bit about that. You can't be the person who is depressed because you didn't go on vacation, right? You can't be the person who, if it's not business class, a business class, you won't fly because I fly business class. You can't be the person who cares about the brand that is at the back of your t-shirt and the kind of car that you show up in. You can't be the person who is embarrassed because you have to take a keke from point A to point B. You can't be the person who really cares about what people think about them and how people perceive them. So I had somebody send a message to me, Naomi, I just saw you in a keke. Was that you I saw in a keke? I say, yes, it was me. And he's like, what? I'm like, what? What am I that you cannot see me in a keke? It can even be that my private jet, I just came down from my private helicopter on the rooftop of Radisson, but I have a meeting and I need to get there, and I took a keke. And I'm owning it with my full chest that I'm in a keke. When things got really tough for my business, I sold my car. And I plowed the money into the business because I'm trying to get somewhere. So if I want to go somewhere, I'll go in an Uber or a boat or whatever you call them, in drive or something these days. And someone is expecting me to come down from this car that is barely touching the floor and then is maybe 40 feet long. And then I'm coming in an Uber that half of it is one color, half is another color. And you're just thinking, well, I've transcended those things because it's not important for this lifestyle and this journey that I'm on. I can't care about those things and be an entrepreneur because I'm trying to maintain this perception that I've arrived and I'm this person, I'm important. It doesn't matter. You won't get the kind of help and support you need when you're trying to perpetuate a perception that you are all this. An entrepreneur is the equivalent of a missionary. If it's a tent, you sleep inside. If it's the open sky, you put on your fire and pray that a lion doesn't eat you in the night. And you sleep. That's the life of a missionary. You don't wear designer clothing and then your wristwatch, because it's Rolex 2024 and now it's 2026, is too old. If you're bothered by those kind of things, go and get a job with Morgan Stanley or with MTN or one of these people and just collect your salary, JJ, and live that kind of life. I'm not condemning it. I'm telling you that it is against the constitution of an entrepreneur to worry about those things. That's why you see Bill Gates with his white t-shirts. That's why you see Mark Zuckerberg with his grey t-shirt every day. Because you are about something and you want to focus on those things. That's why Mark Zuckerberg is worth 200 billion and he drives an Audi. And the Audi is a bit Audi. And the Audi is maybe $50,000 or $100,000. But he can buy the entire Audi company 5 times of it. So you also need to check what your life is and what it looks like, and then know that there's a way that an entrepreneur lives, and be at peace with it that this is who you have to be if you're going to be an entrepreneur. And I hope that helps somebody.
Yeah, and I mean, thank you for saying it just exactly as it is. It's going to be totally unfiltered. Don't worry. It's not necessarily against what we're about, because the next generation of entrepreneurs do really need to experience the world of work, and that's one of the structure and system we put in place as they get on that journey. So thank you for saying it exactly as it is, and I'm sure it passes the message absolutely. So Naomi, this has been an absolute masterclass. You've shown us that identity isn't just about what we like, it's about the value that we build. Yeah. So, but before I let you go, what will be your final word to our primary audience? That's the interns and other interested persons who may be listening to this.
My final word will be: give yourself permission. Give yourself permission. Some of you are waiting for the society to say that your dreams are valid. Some of you are waiting for your husbands. Some of you are waiting for your family and for your friends. And sometimes that permission will never come. Give yourself the permission to pursue your dreams to the fullest of its capacity. Because you already have it. If you don't have it, then look for the person you gave it to and collect it back. Whether it's with your pastor or your imam, or your wife or your husband. As long as you are 18 years and older, you have permission. If you are not sure who you gave it to, forget about it. I'm giving you a new one. You have permission. Now go and be all that God has called you to be. That would be my final word.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time today. I really want to appreciate for the fantastic session we've had so far.
Welcome.
So everyone, I'm sure this has been a wonderful session for you today, and I'm sure you are so worded, like what some of your so your learners usually say in your live sessions. The other they say word me up. So this has been a wording up session, and I'm sure that's the same with you. We're going to come again to you with another episode next time. Watch out for us. Please, if you've not subscribe to the platform and like us and comment, and we'll come to you again with another interesting session. Until then, bye.